The first floor is always economics, because racism is economics. Racism has nothing to do with who you like or who you don't like. It has nothing to do with it. Only when they beat up on you now because they know you don't have any economics. You don't have a basis beneath you. When they drag you to shooting black folk, they're not shooting you because you're black. They're shooting you because of your social economic condition. You're powerless. They know the only thing you're going to do, they shoot 20 blacks tomorrow. Only thing you're going to do is go out and march. That's all you're going to do. They know that. You have no power and wealth. You build that business community and you build factories and industries in there. And you produce wealth and money and income. Then you take that wealth and money and income and you use it to benefit and lift your people. And you use it also to take the surplus capital and you go to the second floor in that 5-story building. On the second floor in that 5-story building, that's politics. That's politics. That's where your politicians are. Quit letting people mislead you about voting. Voting ain't worth a damn if you don't have an economy. I have run political campaigns for presidents, for governors, for attorney generals, for congressional people, for mayors and city council people. Voting in politics ain't worth a quarter in voting if you don't have an economy. It's money that controls your politics. You take your money on that first floor and the powernomics concepts that I'm trying to get you all to buy into. You take that money off the first floor, you buy every politician on the second floor. Don't worry about voting, buy them. Be just like the mafia. Be like the mafia. Just buy them. If you can't, you don't have enough money to buy them, then rent or lease them for a while. You rent and lease him. Then you commission him and say, now on this second floor, now that I bought you, just like this next election, you can see all this money going into all these candidates, billions and millions of dollars. They're buying those politicians. You buy them on the second floor. And then you tell them on the second floor, now, under the powernomics principles, I bought your rear end. You now take your rear end to the third floor. And on the third floor, that's your court system. I don't care whether it's the Supreme Court or the local superior courts or county courts or city courts or state courts. You buy them. And you tell them on that second floor in the court system, you start taking care of my people and doing right. The courts control the police department. The third floor is the courts and the police department. The police department would not be killing your people and shoot them down if they knew that you had an economy underneath you. They're going to pull in you. How many of you seen police shooting down Jews, for instance, running? How many times they've been shooting down Asians? How many times you see them heard them shooting down American Indians? They only shoot down black folk. You don't have an economy to dictate to the police department or to the court system. Then once you dictate to them, you take that money off this first floor, you go to the fourth floor. Your fourth floor is your media. You all got to start producing media in these communities and take that money and start going into buying media. You got about 12,000 radio stations in the United States, about 12,000 cable systems in the United States, about 5,000 daily newspapers in the United States, and about 5,000 also, what did I miss? Television stations. You own nothing. Out of 12,000 radio stations, you probably now own about 60 or 70. Out of cable systems, you don't own any, not one. Television station, you used to own one out of 5,000. Daily newspaper, you don't own anything. Not one daily newspaper. How in the world can you communicate? How in the world can you mobilize your people when you don't own the media to get in touch with them and tell them what to do? If you right now try to promote something for black folk, most media will not even carry it. Most white corporations won't even buy tickets or ads to help you do it. If you have a black radio station, you cannot have black media unless you got black businesses. Because you need the advertising dollars to keep the business, keep the radio station, the media going. The people say, why can't we own some radio? Because you don't have any businesses to buy the ads. Whites aren't going to buy it. But you can get white racists on TV and on the radio. You can get the Rush Limbaughs or the Hannitys or O'Reillys on the Fox channel. That whole Fox channel is loaded down with racists. But they get the advertising dollars to stay on the air. You know why? Because you give them the money.
I decided to build an electric motorbike that will help disabled people whenever they are going somewhere. You don't need your legs to do something, or you just have to on it and it will take you to wherever you want to go. My name is Samuel Abwaje and I'm a 17-year-old boy. Just complete my JSS 3. The motor I used to make the electric motorbike is, the volt is 12 volts and the solar panel is also 12 volts, and also the battery is also 12 volts. It lasts for about 5 hours or so because of the solar panel. So it can run about 20 miles. This is the power button that controls the bike, and this is the controller for the music. This is my bell to signal people when I'm on the road. And this is my brake, and this is a slot for charging, charged by electricity when I don't want to use the solar panel to charge. And this is the switch for backlight and the front light. And this is the media player. You can use pen drive to play or SD card. And this is my backlight, and this is the solar panel used to charge the main battery. The motorbike took me about 2 months to build it, and the electric tricycle also took me about 6 months to build it. I spent about 300 Ghana cedi to complete the motorcycle. I used wood because that was the available material. I want to build more of it, this electric bike, to distribute to disabled people, but I don't have the money. I need the financial support with education and the material that I will use. Right now my scooter, it has 1 speed, but I'm now on another project to build the one that will offer you with a gear, and you can increase the speed and you can also go reverse. Even though my electric motor is made with wood, but it can carry 2 people or someone who is bigger than me. It's very strong. I love science, and anytime the science lesson ends, I'll go and take my notes and revise it to able to make something. Now I'm planning to build an electric car that also run on a solar panel and also a motor.
Suddenly, you left me alone by myself.
We are the countries of Africa, the planet's second largest continent right after Asia. We are the countries of Africa. There are 54 countries presently that we will teach ya. My capital, I am Eritrea, Asmara is my capital. Ethiopia is my name, my capital's Addis Ababa. I'm Gabon, my capital's Libreville, nice to meet ya. My name is Gambia, my capital is Banjul. I'm Ghana, my capital, Accra is really cool. Guinea's my name, Conakry's my capital. I'm Guinea-Bissau, Bissau's my capital. My name is Kenya, my capital's Nairobi. I'm Lesotho, my capital Masaru's the place to be. Hi, I'm Liberia, my capital's Monrovia. I'm Libya, my capital's Tripoli in North Africa. Madagascar's my name, I'm Tananarivo's my capital. I'm Malawi, Lilongwe is really peaceful. We are the countries of Africa, the planet's second largest continent.
We get down to the beat, y'all. We get down to the beat, y'all.
Hello and and welcome back. In this original Black Excellence presentation, we will highlight 11 cities on track to pay reparations to Black Americans.
Welcome to blackexcellence.com, the site where we share Black excellence, opulence, and affluence. Our mission is to inspire you as we enlighten you.
Reparations for Black Americans have been debated since the end of slavery, but the only people compensated were slave owners. The federal government reneged on a promise to provide freed slaves with 40 acres and a mule, and Congress has introduced a series of reparation bills that simply went nowhere. But the tide may be changing. Although the pace for approving reparations can be described as woefully lethargic, there are some reparation initiatives that are now starting to gain some meaningful momentum after years of contemplation. There are hundreds of communities across America who are now bringing the discussion before their city councils, and there are even a handful that have voted for and approved commissions to perform studies and engage the community. These commissions have not only drafted proposals on how to fund these potential reparation programs, but they have also presented recommendations on how to implement. In the midst of these efforts, a group of mayors have come together under a coalition named MORE, which is an acronym for Mayors Organized for Reparations and Equity. We salute these mayors, their city councils, and their communities for taking the bold step to first apologize and then take corrective action to help bolster Black home ownership, improve the infrastructure of predominantly Black neighborhoods, and offer education and employment opportunities. In this original Black Excellence presentation, we want to highlight the 11 cities on acting now to distribute reparations to Black Americans. So without further ado, let's get started.
Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your contacts. Thank you.
Number 4. Tallahassee, Oklahoma. Tallahassee's mayor, Keisha Curran, is leading the effort for the smallest of the communities who have joined MORE. With only 150 residents, it is also the only historically Black town. Located just 45 miles southeast of Tulsa, Oklahoma, the community was founded in 1881 and incorporated in 1902 by freedmen who were previously enslaved by the Creek Indians. It was not long after its incorporation that the small town began to flourish. A school was opened for Black and Indigenous children, and it was eventually turned into a historic all-Black college called Flipper Davis College. Mayor Curran helped kick off the effort for Tallahassee to research and understand the impact reparations could have on their community. The town had its first advisory commission meeting in October of 2021 and has established objectives to make recommendations for developing a pilot reparations program and what it will entail. There isn't a sales tax in Tallahassee, so there isn't a consistent inflow of funds for them to tap into. Therefore, Tallahassee will have to rely on partnerships and learning innovative strategies to rebuild infrastructure for its next century of its residents. Number 5. Providence, Rhode Island. Providence took a giant step forward in March 2021 on its path to making race-related reparations. City leaders unveiled the findings of a study that examined some of Rhode Island's troubling history related to slave trade and racist policies. The study is the first part of the process, the truth-telling phase. The city partnered with the 1696 Heritage Group, whose leader, Keith Stokes, authored the 200-page report focusing on a separate and unequal existence of Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities in the state, documenting Rhode Island slave trade details and stories of discrimination. The truth-telling phase is expected to be followed by a reconciliation process to engage with the public about the details in the report. Some of that may look like community meetings, interactive experiences, and one-on-one engagement to publicly recognize the wrongs uncovered in this study. But the final phase, municipal reparations, has garnered the most attention, complicated in part by the unanswered question of how the cash-strapped city could pay reparations. The city leaders in Providence have discussed and considered reparations for some time, but it was sparked after a conversation about equitable access to healthcare during the coronavirus pandemic. Number 6. Iowa City, Iowa. A groundbreaking effort to document and dismantle institutional racism in Iowa's most liberal city was launched in September 2021 with the creation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The council created the commission after months of protests calling for racial justice in Iowa City, a college town of 75,000 known for progressive politics, but also racial disparities between whites and blacks in criminal justice, education, and business. The first of its kind in Iowa, the commission is tasked with working toward 3 goals: fact-finding, truth-telling, and reconciliation related to racial inequity, and eventually using the conversations to recommend policy changes to City Council. The commission was asked to collect evidence of systemic racism in institutions through public hearings and other fact-finding to make policy recommendations to fix problems. The commission was also charged to promote truth-telling through art, media, and other channels, as well as reconciliation between citizens of color and white residents, who make up 75% of the city. It's also giving input into how to use a $1 million funding commitment the city made to promote racial equity and social justice.
Cooling on a couch, watching TV. No, I'm feeling nothing but lazy. Feeling to some nothing else to do. Might as well go to the board and drop something brand new. Feeling on the dice, throwing shit down. Making me hot to the sound. About to stop. Hungry that I'm up for the plug now. Cause I found out you liking it. Don't you want it back? Don't you want it back? Don't you want it?
Welcome again, brothers and sisters and cousins of the other races who support our struggle for economic equality with the other races. This is video number 30, and I will continue to talk in this brief segment about import substitution and replacement, at least to try to raise the level of production in countries where the people of the African race are the majority or significant minority, and also in communities where we are the majority, or we have the potential to produce enough at least to meet our basic food needs. This is a global economy, countries interdependent, so it's not possible to become totally self-sufficient for the level of consumption of the food items that we eat. However, we can, in many countries, we can become self-sufficient up to the level of our basic food needs. And these things can be calculated by economists mainly, and them working with other people, can be calculated, basic food needs and the level of substitution production to provide for some substitution from different countries, and replacement also from different countries, mainly the colonial powers, the new colonial powers in Europe, North America, and recently and increasingly China, which is becoming the new colonial power. Main thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read from an article, and I will put the slide, up 1 or 2 slides of this article. And I'm reading mainly for the benefit of people who are watching this video on a cell phone, and the text will be too small for you to read it. The article says just 55% of the world's crop calories are actually eaten directly by people. Another 30% is used for animal feed, and the remaining 9% goes towards biofuel and other industrial uses. The proportions are even more striking in the United States, where just 27% of crop calories are consumed directly. Wheat, soya, or fruits and vegetables grown in California. By contrast, more than 67% of crops, particularly all the soy grown in the Midwest, goes to animal feed, and a portion of the rest goes to ethanol and other biofuels. Some of that animal feed eventually becomes food, obviously, but it is a much more indirect process. It takes about 100 calories of grain to produce just 12 calories of chicken, from chicken, or 3 calories worth of beef, for example. And the habit of producing grains, feeding grains to livestock, it's a thing that has been pushed, promoted by the multinational corporations from the countries that control the economies, the governments and the economies of the lesser developed countries, where most of the people are African people, whether in Africa or in the diaspora, because these countries have enough grass and other plant material that humans can't eat to feed a significant portion of the livestock, and we can use the grains to feed human beings directly instead of feeding it to animals. Feeding grains to animals, livestock, is a luxury that the more developed countries of Europe, North America, and more recently China, they can afford it. But for import replacement and substitution, we should be producing grains for human consumption and not importing grains to feed livestock in these lesser developed countries where black folks are the majority, or communities where we are the majority.
Moringa from across the East African community meet in Dar es Salaam to discuss measures needed to improve value addition of the product. Meanwhile, Moringa is viewed as an important community health product. It is also a business expected to benefit many women in East Africa.
Every product here is derived from the Moringa plant, from safe cosmetics for skin and hair to soap and oil alongside mineral supplements. These are some of the products manufactured by Moringa manufacturers in Kenya.
Moringa is referred as a miracle tree because you get so many products from Moringa. You get health products, you get beauty products. So there's so many things, from the root to the powder. You actually don't waste anything from Moringa.
The path to success for these traders has, however, been challenging. The East African Women in Business platform, in collaboration with the East African Community Secretariat and GIZ, are now looking to address some of those challenges by offering training to these traders. It is these solutions that units from Select Fresh Produce Kenya Limited hopes will open up new opportunities.
We have a lot of initiatives in Kenya to see that the Moringa value chain is strengthened and that it impacts on the economic, social and environmental areas of Kenyan women. And so we are looking forward to partnering with everybody here in East Africa to make sure that we are learning from one another and we are accessing markets.
The East African Women in Business platform acknowledges that there is need for East African community countries to offer capacity building skills to Moringa manufacturers and create awareness of the benefits of Moringa in community health and the economy.
Suddenly, you left me alone by myself.
Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your contacts. Thank you.